Hello and welcome to the 1000 subscribers Q&A video. I don't particularly feel like editing a lot this Q&A, so on the screen I am probably going to be playing Death Road to Canada. It is an indie game, and it's a fun little indie game where you can make characters and try to survive a trip from Florida to Canada, avoiding zombies along the way and trying to get supplies so that you can live. Yeah. It's fun. You die really easily, but it's really fun to play over and over and over again. So I hope you enjoy, and we're gonna start the Q&A now. Okay, here we are, everybody. The 1000 subscribers Q&A. Now, last time I did get a lot of questions. This time I didn't get quite as much, but it is a reasonable amount, and I appreciate the questions that are being asked. So, let's start off with just another Fire Emblem fan. What inspired you to do YouTube and do voices? Okay, me and YouTube have been together for a very long time. I was here in the early days of YouTube as it once was. And through, I think, 4 accounts, most of that time was being an A&V maker. If you don't know what that stands for, it stands for animation music video, or in some cases, anime music videos. Most of these were related to Yu-Gi-Oh!, and I mean the big 3 major ones at the time, Duel Monsters, GX, and 5Ds. Beyond that, I did do some covers back in the day, but they didn't get very far. As to what inspired me to do voices, that kinda has 2 answers. The first one was that one day a Let's Player was going to do a Let's Play of Tag Force 2. At the time, they were having a poll of who was going to be their partner in that game, and also was holding auditions for all of the characters in that game since they wanted everything voiced since, well, Konami unfortunately didn't give us any of the voice acting Tag Force got in Japan. No Japanese lines. And they also didn't bother to even have the English cast record for this. Yet they did for Duel Links. Many years later. Yeah. Anyway. So one day, I thought it would be cool to audition for my favorite character. If you couldn't guess by the colorful rainbowness that my channel is always surrounded in, I auditioned for Johan Andersson, the Gem-Beast duelist. This was also around the time I was watching the Japanese version of GX, and I was trying to do a voice similar to his actor, who is a woman. So I bought a probably really crappy mic from Radio Shack, yeah, those still existed back in the days, and I recorded Johan's little entrance when he's late to the assembly. Needless to say, in the poll, Johan was voted as this person's partner, and I was chosen as his actor. After that, all I remember was recording like a card of the day type thing, like at the end of every GX episode. But then the project was, I think, cancelled, and then I moved to a new city, and me being very antisocial, I still am, quite frankly, and knowing absolutely no one, I might have gone a bit insane. Doesn't mean I didn't have friends, just that I didn't know what to do with said friends. So most of the time I was in my head imagining worlds. And I might have also gotten into a case of depression during my 2nd year of middle school. I'm not sure if it really was depression or what, but I call it depression, and maybe it really was depression, but I don't know. I just know I can't communicate with people well. Anyway, because of that, after that I was just always imagining worlds in my head. And I always gave them voices. So I guess this counts as the second answer? Due to loneliness? I don't know. Every character I voice, every character that I created, I would give them a specific kind of voice. And then after that, I started picking up the mic again and started doing some fan dubs, some kind of impressions also. Like, some of them was Aqua and Ventus from Kingdom Hearts. I did some scenes from Dissidia and doing horrible male voices. You guys can see it on... you guys can still see those in a different account. I don't have them anymore. I could go back and try dubbing some of them again, but don't ask me to voice a guy, please. I'm not really good at male voices, unless they're very young males. Anyway, I finally decided to just create a new channel, which is the channel we're on right now. And the first video was a cover of Believe X Believe from Arc 5, the very first opening. So I'm like, I kinda don't want this on my own channel, and plus I already got copyrighted because I used the video of the opening and it didn't work. So I uploaded it on this channel with no visuals until I learned how to get by the visual copyright. But the most that you can find my acting are either on other channels, which I do have a playlist of, or on HarmonyNet Studios. But the voices that I do on my own channel, most of them are characters I personally like and have picked up their personalities into my own, with the exception of Hikari most of the time, which is just me gender bent. I'm a weird person, but I can honestly say I don't know what my original personality is anymore with all these roles that I take to heart. Moving on, from Fire Emblem Fan 101, Morgan, it seems like you have a question.
Ooh, what is it? What is it?
Out of everyone in Fire Emblem Awakening besides your parents, who do you like the most?
Oh, that's easy. My sister Lucy. Well, in my universe at least. After that, it would probably be Elaine.
Next question is from Honey. Alright, how many alts did you create to get yourself to 1,000 subscribers? 17. I will let you guys guess where that number came from. Winner gets this batch of cookies and choice of oatmeal raisins or chocolate chip through the internet as a hologram. Hint. This number has 2 meanings. Next up, 2 questions from the James Show. Number 1, who is your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist? And number 2, what do you think of Cardfight Vanguard? Alright, my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist is definitely Judayuki. And I'm calling him Judai and not Jaden because the dub wasn't all that great. Sure, I have some fond memories of watching it as a kid, but I appreciate the Japanese story much, much more. No, I'm not hating on anyone who likes the dub. I just like the Japanese version better. But I think Judai was the one who honestly changed the most throughout the series. Hell, he's literally the only character we have seen age and mature in all of the spin-offs, with the exception of Darkside Dimension, where we see the DM cast mature by 6 months after the whole Egypt thing with Atem. I mean, if you think about it, Yusei basically maintains his same badass but kind, sweet, and caring personality he's always had, and I don't recall him ever falling into evilness. Yuma, as far as I'm aware, did show signs of improvement by the end of Zeal, but I personally haven't watched it because I can't stand him not being able to duel properly. And on top of that, I just want the story and not the struggle. If you want to recommend me a list of episodes that I should watch and episodes that I should avoid instead, that would be appreciated. Anyway, Yuya! Well, Yuya is a weird case where I did like him, but the show just kinda went back and forth with him maturing and then returning to his happy-go-lucky entertainment duelist attitude and having to learn the same lesson over and over and over and over and over again before that whole Zark thing happened and ruined absolutely everything. I personally blame Synchroland. And with Yusaku, I don't think we've seen enough of him for me to say anything other than he's a determined man with a mission. Well, scratch that. He's now able to actually smile and be happy for a bit before becoming a man with a mission again, but with a friend. As for Yugi, I don't really have much of an opinion on him other than being a nice kid who cares for others, which was shown even more in Season 0 and the first 7 volumes of the original manga. Though he did show growth of being more confident in himself and learning for himself, but I still think Judai has the better growth. Considering we know what his past life was like, and the traumatic experience from Season 3, which was a fucked up season in general, the fact Judai lost his hyperness we all knew him as from Season 1 to Season 3, Season 4 makes sense that he lost it but then found it again a bit by the end of it. I guess you can call GX in its wholeness a coming-of-age story in a way, and Judai certainly went through a lot. Not to say that both Yuki and Atem didn't go through a lot, but they mostly retained their same personalities. Also, Judai, on the other hand, had to relearn his original personality, at least a bit of it, to at least feel a little bit more human-like. As for what I think of Vanguard, well, I remember watching a few episodes of the first season and liking it, but trying to rewatch it now isn't gonna happen considering all the legal ways to watch it have been removed, since both the show and the card game are being rebooted. Though, you then wonder how I didn't binge watch this anime considering the lead character is the Blue Net Aichi. Yeah, I don't know either. What about Reigns, you say? I've watched all of this season, and the current episodes. What do you think would have happened once I found out the lead is a Blue Net? From Delta Kai 09. Who are your top 5 Awakening characters and top 5 favorite Fates characters? So I was going to do a top list for both of these games at some point in the future, but for now, these are my current characters that are my favorites. For Awakening, both Lucina and Morgana first. Second would be Carmen Robin, then Inigo, then Cynthia and Owain, and finally Muriel. For Fates, first is Kaze, second is both Sakura and Elise, third is Forest and Shigure, and then Selkie and Solio. From RDLV, do you think Junko will return in some way or another in Danganronpa, and do you think they're going to make another game or anime about it? Ooh, a question about me? Can I answer it? No, 'cause it ain't for you. Okay, I don't think they would use Junko again. I think V3 truly put an end to the Hope's Peak Academy saga and the Junko reign. However, I do think there will be more Danganronpa games, just not anything in the next few years since Spike Chunsoft seems to be working on another game, and Kodaka himself stated a while ago he wanted to take a break from Danganronpa. Considering how much of a mindfuck the end of V3 was, I think he deserves it and should spend some time playing Silver Case instead. If they did make another game, I think they could go one of two ways, either start from scratch in a new universe, or continue where they left off. I do have an idea that could work with the idea of continuing where they left off. It would probably take place a couple of years after Suichi, Maki, and Himiko come out of that whole trap that they were stuck in. They get past Team Danganronpa, everything, they come back into the world, they get settled into the world. However, there was one viewer who did not like how this ended, because this meant that there was no more death games. They weren't going to be broadcasting any more of these types of things into their own world, and this upset this one person so much that they decided to devise a plan that would take several years and would take people who think kind of like him to make work. I guess you could say this person is kind of a follower of Junko Enoshima, kind of like the Warriors of Hope. Except unlike Monica, who just does shit on her own, this person actually does follow through with everything. They do understand why Junko did everything, and they want to repeat the actions of what happened, except in real life. So they plan for a while. He starts to find people who do kind of think like him, and thinks they might be the perfect people for his little game. But then you gotta wonder, what about the titles Ultimate? Well, Ultimates still exist, because this game, the show has gone on for so long that people have started to use Ultimates to represent people who are really good at what they do in their field. Now, I have designed an antagonist. I'm not quite sure if I like this design or not, nor do I like their name that I gave them. But your antagonist, the mastermind, is going to be this guy right here, Shiro Iwazaki. Now, this mastermind is not going to be involved in the class at all. Unlike all of the other antagonists, you will have no way of knowing who this person is. They won't be revealed until the very last chapter. Maybe they can throw some hints along the way that makes you think it's someone who's gonna be like Junko Enoshima, or maybe the previous actress, or maybe it's the previous actress who voiced Junko Enoshima in those said games. But the protagonist this time around is actually going to be something pretty unique and something that hasn't been done. Well, kind of been done, but not properly. And that is going to be, well, a female lead. Yes, we had Kaede, but that was only for one chapter, and she was a red herring, so that Zuichi could be the actual protagonist from chapter 2 onwards. But I have picked a name for this protagonist, and her name is Michiko Ishida. And she is the ultimate forensic scientist, or specialist. I'm not really sure which one I picked, but one of those two would actually be pretty decent for a protagonist. It doesn't mean that they will be able to get every single answer. They will be able to analyze the scene a lot more thoroughly than a detective would by using logic and science and stuff like that. Now, every protagonist needs a second in command, and this would be kind of the second protagonist, I suppose, along the lines of Kyoko, Kaito, Nagito, and Chiaki. And that's going to be Asuka. Now, Asuka here is the ultimate jeweler, and he's a male. If you can't see the theme yet, let me keep going with the rest of the ultimates that I have on here. Now, some of these people are going to be older than high school age. They're going to be someone who's already in there quite well into their profession. And maybe some of these are high school students, maybe they're college students, because some of these ultimate titles really don't make sense in a school setting or something that you would teach. But anyway, after Asuka the jeweler is kind of best friends to Michiko Ishida, so yes, they know each other. Michiko and Asuka know each other from the start. After that, there is Kaoru, who's a male, and he's the ultimate florist. Then comes Jun, a girl, and she's the ultimate archer. Then comes Yuto Yoshida, who's the ultimate boyfriend, and Ryo Suzuki, who's the ultimate girlfriend. And yes, Yuto is a boy, Ryo is a girl, and together they'd probably be the ultimate couple, but these two have never met before. So there is no ultimate couple, unless they become a thing. Now, those are the only ones that I have come up with. There are a few other names that I've come up with, but they're only girl names. So there's Kanon, there's Keiko, and there's Yuzuki. But I don't have any other information. Asuka doesn't really have a last name. Jun doesn't have a last name. Anybody other than Yuto Yoshida and Ryo Suzuki don't have a last name. And I don't have any other names for the rest of these 16 people. But that should be it. As for what should happen, I'm not sure. But this is how I think it should go if they're going to continue, if they're going to try to stay within the universe that they created after 3. Other than this, if they start in a brand new universe, they could go anywhere. And I mean anywhere. They could, for all we know, it could be a cast of humans and some sort of aliens. Maybe a universe where humans still exist, or maybe just humanoid animals. Really, at this point, it could go anywhere because it's going to be a new universe, so they don't have to stick to Earth. Which means magic could actually happen. Maybe it's a full cast of robots. You never know. I mean, we really do not know where Danganronpa could be headed. And maybe if anyone wants to direct me to Team Danganronpa or to share them this piece of the video, I don't mind. Because I do like Danganronpa, don't get me wrong. Or maybe just bring me on as a voice actor, I don't care. I just want to be a part of Danganronpa. I really like it. Anyway, before I talk into the insanity that is Danganronpa even more, before I fall into the pit of Danganronpa even more, let's move on to the next question. Next is from Emilio Azul 97. But what does Pot of Greed do? It lets you draw 2 cards from your deck and add them to your hand! Everyone has now been aware of what Pot of Greed does! Moving on to the next question. From Himedere-chan. Out of all of the special banners there are in Heroes, which one is your favorite? And which unit in the specific banner is your favorite? Okay, this is either the Branded King or Performing Arts. As for which are my favorites, obviously in Branded King, it's Morgan. Hell, I somehow knew he was going to be appearing soon after the whole Falchion user banner thing, and I saved my orbs for him instead of spending it on the Falchion user banner. It took me a while, but I did eventually get him. For performing arts, that is Shigure without a doubt. With him being able to give characters a second chance to attack and somehow becoming a powerhouse when I give him Poison Strike, Shigure is my favorite along with being one of my favorite characters from Fates. Though, I'm still looking for my boy Leon because he was a badass archer in Echoes in my playthrough. I still haven't finished it, please don't spoil it, please don't spoil it, please don't spoil it. I still haven't finished it, please don't spoil it. Next, from Mog of War. Should you somehow achieve world domination, how would you go about ruling all known civilization with an iron fist? Okay, dude, first of all, have you met me? I am the embodiment of weird, with God knows how many personalities in my head. But if I did rule the world, there would be intelligent cats everywhere, in every home, watching your movements. Making sure you're not making assumptions about normal, everyday things, such as only thinking love is between men and women, thinking women are more powerful than men, but then turn that into bashing every man on the planet that you see. Racist thoughts. And if you fail to fall into this, I will make you watch the entirety of MLP Generation 3 and 3.5 on loops for hours until you become horrified by the horrible plot and animation and singing and voice acting that you will never be able to sleep. How is a little girl's TV show going to do that? Have you seen the animation for 3.5? No. If for some reason I can't get all of Generation 3 and 3.5, the alternative is watching Johnny Test on repeat while eating the hottest fucking peppers on the planet! Don't the hottest peppers on the planet kill you? I don't care! I just know that I hate spicy things, so everyone shall suffer! Sorry about that. From Umi Echo, who are your top 3 boys in Haikyuu? Out of what I've seen so far, Suga, Noya, and Calico Kitty. I mean, Kenma! Calico Kitty. But Calico Kitty fits so well. Pokemon Otaku asked, are you crying after the recording? Nah. Caleb Drake asked, hi, I'm new to your content and I found you through Ties of Fate. I really like it. And I was wondering, why did Hunter's voice actor change both in canon, I think he had puberty or something, and behind the scenes, and did the change mean his story couldn't be told since he didn't have an actor for a while? Okay, with Hunter, it's a weird story, and I will go through this when I get to Hunter. I'll get to Hunter's origin story once I get through a couple other characters that people have been asking me to do. I did Jade's, if you haven't seen it already, it's up on the channel, but his voice change came about along with Citron's voice changing. So his voice change was due to an actor no longer being able to voice not only Hunter but also Citron. So both Hunter and Citron's actors changed accordingly to what happened. So I did hold auditions for both of these characters and a couple of other characters. But by the time that I had to cast these characters, because I couldn't just hoping for someone to audition for Hunter. Hunter only had one actor, and I decided, fine, I'll go with it. I will let them voice Hunter for the remainder of this series if they don't decide to leave. And this has happened a couple of times in Ties of Fate, and I'm sure you can tell as each episode passes, I have to do recast upon recast because, well, this is a hobby project. Nobody is getting paid to do these lines, and I am very happy for those that have stayed throughout this whole mess of a series. It backfires for this not being a paid job for these actors, but that purely want to see this story come to an end. I'm happy, and I don't blame you if you leave after this season is over. I really don't. But as for his story, it's not that his story can't be told. It's more like, I'm not sure what to do with Hunter's character in this said current story, or overall. As of this recording, I'm writing the final episode, and I'm trying to make it focus on everybody equally, but that's kind of hard when you have around 30 characters for the final episode. Yeah. And I'm trying to not pin the spotlight on one specific character only, or on several characters because it's kind of a story about everyone. But sometimes I do point the spotlight on someone in particular, and it's for a particular reason, but I also try not to make it focus on just solely on them, and it's kind of hard, and Hunter doesn't really do much, but he does have a major role in the final episode, I can say that for sure. Because without him, they probably wouldn't be able to do something specifically. But that doesn't mean that Hunter is going to be forgotten in the end. I will probably, when the season is over, there might be a couple of skits that happen either after this war is over or what happened before the war started, or just to set up for season 2. That's also a thing. Like I said before, I will be going into the history of these characters and how they came about, and their whole origin, and what inspired them, and what they used to look like before. That will also be a thing in the future. Moving on. From Hadokener, what do you think of Beyblade as a whole, including the tops, the anime, and the games? Okay, I have very little memory of watching Beyblade as a child. Like, small little one-frame moments of things. It was probably a show that I watched before school started or on Saturday mornings. I never encountered the games. Again, my childhood was mostly filled with 3 things: Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Sailor Moon. And as for the tops, I think at one point I did own one, only for the sake that I kinda remembered the anime and I went like, this looks cool. Maybe I should get it. And now I don't know where it is. Diana Vang asks, who are my top 6 husbands in Awakening? Okay, I only played Awakening twice, as much as I like Awakening, but anyway, this is the order from 1 to 6, 1 being the best, I guess. That rhymed, I'm sorry. Crom, Stall, Gaius, Lonq, Priam, and really either Laurent or Inigo. I mean, I need at least one child you to suggestion, I guess, and none of the other guys really catch my attention. And yes, as a running joke, Virion, especially. To me, Virion does the womanizer role wrong, and Inigo does the womanizer role right. And he would probably be a match to me with Zelos from Symphonia, which I haven't played, but from what I have seen, I'm sure I would enjoy Zelos a lot. James Johnson asked, what is your favorite video game? In this case, it's a tie between Nights into Dreams and Dissidia. Nights into Dreams being a Sega IP which hasn't been touched in, well, years. I think either 2007 or 2008. I think 2007 is right. And Dissidia is a spin-off Final Fantasy fighting game involving protagonists, villains, and some party members from all installments of main Final Fantasy games. If you want to know where Ties of Fate was mostly inspired from, look no further than the first 2 Dissidia games on the PSP. This is where most of the ideas of the whole war story came into play, and some character inspirations and other aspects of Ties of Fate, as you know them, came from. And those are all the questions I got for this Q&A. Now, I thank everyone who asked me these questions, and I also thank everyone who subscribed to my channel. I don't really have anything planned yet to actually celebrate besides this Q&A, though I do have a few ideas. One of them involves me maybe live streaming on somewhere. I'm not sure if it's YouTube or Twitch. I do have an account on both sites, but I haven't really used a Twitch one, and I've never live streamed before, so I'm not sure what I would live stream if I did. But that is an idea that comes to mind. Again, if anybody else has any idea on how to celebrate this, leave it below. Otherwise, thank you for watching. And thank you for subscribing.